Top Gear tonight, Tiff Needell drives some new Saabs, and I drive some old ones. Tony Mason samples Depression-era motoring, and Vicki Butler-Henderson tarts around in a souped-up MGF.
Oh, dearie me. Every day, the Top Gear postbag is filled to overflowing with hundreds of letters asking the same question. Why, oh why, when the speed limit in this country is 70 miles an hour, are car manufacturers allowed to sell cars which can go faster than that? Well, the answer, I'm afraid, is a trifle controversial. But you see, the faster the car, the safer you are. The 70-mile-an-hour speed limit was introduced in 1965, a time of the Ford Anglia. It had a top speed of 70 and is therefore exactly the sort of car the letter writers would like to see making a comeback. But now, let's see it trying to stop. That is one of the scariest things I've ever done. Getting it to 70 miles an hour was bad enough, but stopping it took 244 feet. Now, that's exactly what it says it should take in the highway code. Look here on the back page. But then, the highway code was written at a time when everyone was driving around in Ford Anglias. The only thing this is good for now is clearing up the mess that I appear to have made in my trousers. How did anyone survive the 60s? Since the Anglia was pensioned off, cars have been getting a good deal faster. But that's okay, because there have been big improvements too, with brakes and tyres. 3, 2, 1, brake. Now, the Lexus is known to be one of the fastest stopping cars that money can buy, and it's certainly lived up to that reputation today. According to our computer figures, it went from 70 to 0 in 2.8 seconds. It stopped in 139 feet. That's 100 feet less than it should take according to the highway code. Unbelievable. Now, the Escort did it in 198 feet, kind of poor to middling. But we can't change the highway code because the Speed Kills lobby likes to drive round in 2-ton slow coach diesels like this Discovery, which took a staggering 224 feet to stop. That's 84 feet more than the Lexus. 84 feet. Big four-wheel drive cars undoubtedly have their place. It's just a bit further down the road than you'd like it to be. Now, this is exactly the sort of car that causes the Speed Kills lobby to reach for the Basildon Bond. The Porsche 911, £65,000 worth of bulging Teutonic muscle. With a top speed of 165 miles an hour, they say it should be labelled a killer and banned. But hold on a minute. The brakes in this car are designed to stop it time and time again from 165 miles an hour. So let's find out what happens when we ask them to stop it from just 70. Ready? Build the speed up. Hold on to your hairpieces, everyone. Wow. So, there you have it. If you must step into the road in front of an oncoming car, do please make sure the car in question is a fast one, because that way it'll be able to stop more quickly. And it isn't just braking either. We've fitted a complicated measuring device to the side of our Anglia, and I'm now endeavouring to find out how fast it can go round a corner. It has a practical purpose, this. You see, if you come off a motorway onto a slip road which suddenly tightens up when you're not expecting it, you need the car to be able to get round, and oh dear, this motorised gramophone, radiogram, wireless, is out of grip. This is 27 miles an hour and I'm absolutely on the raggedy edge. 1 more mile an hour, I'd be wearing it like a hat. Oh, God. Get me out of here. I want to go back to the 20th century. Its modern-day equivalent, the Ford Escort, does rather better. According to this digital readout here now, this very accurate speedometer, I'm doing 35 miles an hour. Build it up a bit. Steering's gone light. I'm running wide. I'm in big trouble here. Oh no! Whoa! Murder! Blood spurt! Spin! Bent wing! Crash! Expense. Now, the Porsche is happy to sail round this bend at 43, 6 miles an hour faster than the Escort. You see, because the Porsche is so powerful, they've had to give it weapons-grade suspension and huge tyres and gigantic brakes. If it were limited to 70, they wouldn't bother. I mean, these components don't come cheap. The tyre for an Anglia, 28 quid. The tyre for an Escort, 29 quid. The garden roller from the back of a 911, £294. And then there's the brake discs. Now this 2p piece on an Escort, it cost you about £25. This rather larger disc from a 911 costs about the same as it weighs, £105. Oof. The big question is this. Is it possible to buy a car which stops and steers as safely as the Porsche for rather less than £65,000? Oh yes. This is the Peugeot 106 GTI, a boy racer's dream come true. It has spoilers, alloy wheels and a top speed of 126 miles an hour. Now, of course, the people of Worthing would argue that this is way too fast for the sort of young man who can afford to buy it when he should be doing national service. It is, after all, just £13,000. It's a menace. It's wheeled ecstasy. Again, not so. Thanks to fat tyres, ultra-lightweight and standard ABS, it went from 70 to 0 in just 162 feet, 8 feet less than the Porsche. Round our handling circle, it could do 41 miles an hour. The 911, remember, could only manage 43. Now sure, it's fast enough to get you into trouble, but because of that, Peugeot has ensured it's nimble enough to get you out again. You have to be a complete idiot to crash this thing. I have been genuinely amazed by the results of this test and never would have believed there was such an enormous difference in the way various cars stop. I don't know, maybe it's time to stop worrying about how fast a car gets from 0 to 60 and concentrate instead on how quickly it goes from 60 back to 0 again.
The Saab 900 has been with us for 20 years, 2 generations that produced over 1 million cars and some surprises. I drove in a one-make series for them. My sometimes teammate was Damon Hill, and I even won a few races. While the later version broke all sorts of records, lapping the Talladega Speedway at over 140 miles an hour. You'll be queen. But now its days are numbered. Its replacement, the 9.3, has arrived to complete Saab's new look lineup and sit alongside the 9.5. However, having said replacement, the old actually looks exactly the same as the new. Indeed, the only changes are different bumpers, front and rear, and a snazzy new grille to match that of the 9.5. Ah yes, and its neat new badge. However, it's under the sin that Saab claimed to have made over 1,000 alterations and improvements. But that's not one of them. The reverse gear lock stays. Mind you, that doesn't bother me too much because I normally leave my cars parked in gear. As well as the 5-door and 3-door saloons, there's a new drop top as well. Not surprising when you learn that last year the 900 outsold both BMW and Audi in the convertible market.
We can be heroes.
To be honest, even on the inside, it's hard to see where all these changes are. The instrument panel looks exactly the same as that on the old 900. In fact, these air vents are the same. However, the 9.3 has inherited a few bits and bobs from the 9.5. There's a wider, more comfortable seat. The information panel has been upgraded, and there are side airbags all round as standard across the range. One feature I really do like is this anti-whiplash head restraint, which, when your body is pushed back on an impact, actually moves forward to stop your head being thrown back. There are 3 equipment levels. The basic 9.3 starts at £16,500 for the 130 horsepower 2-litre. Then the 9.3S adds a few goodies, plus the option to go for the 150 horsepower 2.3 or the 185 brake turbo. While if you want bits of wood and leather trim, you'll have to spend over £20,000 and go for the SE. Oh yes, and did I forget to mention that on all 3 equipment levels you can now have Saab's first ever diesel engine, a 115 horsepower 2.2-litre turbo unit. I did? Good. I hate diesels. In fact, it's amazing to think how quickly Saab seem to have lost any sporting image that they once had. It seems like only a few years ago that the old-shaped Saab 900 Turbo was all the rage amongst the trendy, enthusiastic driving set. But now, all that's gone. From the driver's point of view, this new 9.3 even feels very much like the old 900. True, there is a new hydraulic clutch which lessens the effort required to use it, and the suspension has been tinkered with to reduce understeer and increase general stability. Ride and handling are indeed very good. But whatever all these 1,000 improvements are supposed to have done, a Saab is a Saab is a Saab. Nothing revolutionary, nothing to get too excited about, but a good, solid, sensible car. Indeed, to many, this is Saab's forte. They have a customer loyalty that is second only to Mercedes. Nearly 80% of their owners will come back for another. So the fact that the 9.3 is more of an image facelift than an all-new car will probably make them very happy indeed.
Fancy some of that Swedish solidity, but haven't got the wedge for a new 9.3? Easy.
You need one of these.
A car with an image so immaculate it could hold confession and communion. The Saab 900, the car that nice people drive.
You think I'm generalizing, don't you? But it's true. 900s are driven by upright, decent, professional types who cherish them, service their Saabs on the dot, and don't drive like psychopaths, which is why they make stonking second-hand buys.
Like this spotless J-Reg 900i 16 valve, just run in at 120,000 miles, it'll do the same again without even pausing for breath. Instant respectability for £3,000. For a bit of discreet mischief, go for the turbo. The 16-valve 900 often comes with air, leather and heated seats. Group 17 means high insurance, but used prices are lower than you think. This 89F cost $3,500. Dearer but much more desirable is the 900 convertible. You can have a normal 16-valve or the 175 brake turbo ragtop. Best bet is the blown 16-valve S, and batting starts at around $7,000. This is the slowest depreciating 900 of them all.
Now it's solid, solid as a rock.
You get a brilliant heater, cavernous boot, crisp front-wheel drive handling, and the sort of build quality that would give a British shop steward a heart attack. Which is why the trade call the Saab 900 the Rock of Ages.
Solid as a rock.
This is a vehicle that we actually sold 13 years ago It's now done 232,000 miles and has had 2 owners. We see probably 3 or 4 a year like this. The 100,000 mile plus car is very, very common. They are very well put together. Build quality is extremely high. I've never seen one with structural rust. And the components that go into the cars, the engines and the gearboxes, are quite literally bomb-proof.
I've had this car for about 2 years. It's done 226,000. Well, I've paid just over £1,500 for it, and I've spent £300 except for the services.
I've owned the car 10 years. It's now done 254,000, and I get a great deal of pleasure out of the car. It does a lot of things well. It carries a great deal, goes well. It's a car that stands out from the masses. I took the car down to Goodwood. The car had done 190,000 at the time, and spent the whole day racing around Goodwood Circuit using all the revs, and I had a great deal of fun.
3 years ago I bought this for £3,500. It's done 129,000 miles. It's got leather, cruise control, it's got all the luxuries I need, and it's just built like a tank, and I love it.
.900s may be built like concrete bunkers, but after 10 trips around the world, even a Saab's entitled to a little bit of wear and tear.
Gearboxes can give up the unequal struggle at around 200,000. Listen for a whining noise like dying dogs in 3rd and 5th. And if your handbrake reaches to the roof, it could mean neglected rear brakes, and you could be letting yourself in for a couple of new calipers. Power steering is standard on all 900s, but the rack goes out to lunch every 100,000 or so. And engines will need a timing chain every 70,000. Listen for the telltale death rattle from the top end.
And if you fancy a turbo, and why not, here's a nice A-Reg for just 1,500 quid, you need to try the Willson wallet test. To check if your turbo is fit, get the engine running, hot, and then boot the throttle as hard as you can. And if it spews out white smoke at the back, you know your turbo's kippered.
A 900 can easily cover 400,000 miles as long as it's been cosseted. So always make sure you've got one of these nestling in the glove box. A full service history is worth an easy 500 quid extra.
So what's the catch? Well, 900s may be a bit hard riding. The rear legroom may not be terribly generous, but the most serious black mark against the car is pricey main agent servicing, which is why you need to come to an independent like this.
Because your garage bills will be a lot easier to bear. Around £40 for a 6,000 mile service, 110 for the 12,000, and for the big 24,000 mile job, it'll be 215 quid.
As far as parts goes, it is an urban myth that Saab parts are viciously expensive. Let me demonstrate. This is a genuine Saab air filter for a 900. That would cost you £13. If you wanted one for your Cavalier 1.8L, it would cost you £12. A genuine Saab oil filter. Here, £4.98. For your Vauxhall Cavalier, £4.74. A set of genuine Saab brake pads. £47 for your Cavalier, £48. Saab have actually reduced the prices of parts for older cars, so running a 900 does not mean you will be committing financial harry-carry.
And if you think Saabs are far too sensible and driven by people who wear hats, think again.
Not only can a good turbo muster 125 and give you the best fun ride since the prototype roller coaster, it quietly exudes an image of taste, restraint, discrimination, and new age niceness.
The Saab 900, built like a Merc, safe as a Volvo, and so much cooler than a BMW. Later this year, you'll be able to sample the world of Top Gear in 3D, because Top Gear Live is back. The chance to drive and be driven in some of the most exciting machines on and off the road, plus all the thrills of the Top Gear Live Action Arena. Top Gear Live is at Silverstone from May 22nd to May 25th. For details, call the information line on 0990 12 2200, and we'll give you that number again at the end of the show.
Between 1908 and 1928, Henry Ford's Model T put the world on wheels. The Tin Lizzie was built to last. Amazingly, 80 years on, they're still going strong, all over the world.
This is the car that changed the way of life in America. So, did Top Gear fly me across the Atlantic to sample pioneer motoring? No such luck. I'm here in deepest Buckinghamshire at Tuckett Brothers, where the Model T is alive and kicking. This is a 1921 touring model, and I'm going to try and get to grips with it. But first, time for a lesson.
My teacher, Neil Tuckett, has been in the tea trade for years. He can drive them in his sleep. I didn't find it so easy.
We're on the way, we're on the way.
Right, now you're in first gear. The next thing is to move your handbrake fully forward.
The handbrake
fully forward. Now, get your speed up in first gear. Right, lift your leg off.
Oh, it's changed.
Pedal.
Yeah,
that's right, you're now in top gear.
Top gear?
This one's your throttle,
Second.
so that governs your speed.
Now, can I touch this brake on the right here?
Yeah, you can brake with the right hand one.
Because there's a bit of a bend coming
Also,
up.
you can brake with your throttle like you're doing, because that's the best way of braking, using your engine braking. Well, that one's the advanced retard on the other side. Once you've got the car running, you set that and leave it alone. Now we're on the open road, you're in top gear, away you go.
It really is an amazing driving experience. It's like nothing I've ever done before. I think the top speed's about 45 miles an hour. We're nowhere near that yet, and I'm not sure I want to be doing 45.
It may have a 3-litre engine, but it only produces 20 horsepower.
I keep wanting to accelerate with my right foot. I can't stop it.
Now, if you try that, that'll be the brake.
Yes. And this reverse in the middle, that's crazy. I'm actually driving a motoring legend.
Here's the last US-built T being driven off the production lines by Henry himself. The first cars cost $850, way beyond the average American's means. But by adapting production line techniques from Chicago slaughterhouses, Ford brought prices down to $260 by the mid-20s. It was said you could go anywhere in a T except in society. And a few years ahead of their time, they were even eco-friendly. Ford bought many back for recycling. Happily, plenty escaped the crusher. 100,000 cars worldwide keep a thriving parts industry going. And 3,000 of them are in the UK, many built by Ford in their Manchester factory. Rear axle, sir, that'll be 100. Front wing, 150.
How much would it cost for a good one?
Well, they can vary anything between 5,000 and 15,000, but a nice Tourer, 7,500, 8,000, will buy you something pretty good.
How did you get hooked on Model Ts?
Well, that's a long story, but the short answer is my great-uncle bought a van new in 1932, which we've still got, and that started the hobby off.
Of all these different shapes and models and everything, which is your favourite?
Well, the one we're sat in, Rusty, she must be one of my favourites because she's so unspoiled. It's done 33,000 miles. It was registered early in 1928 and was taken off the road in 1931. It was owned by a circus family and it was laid up in the dry, and that's how it survived. And I've just done basic maintenance on it, MOT'd it and run it all last year.
What sort of price would this be, new?
This was £125 new.
It's not worth that now.
Well, I hope it is, because I paid more than that for it.
These days, you can still pick up a T for any occasion. There's the plain T Tourer for the family man, a coupe for the doctor, or a van for the pie man. But Ford didn't cater for the go faster set.
If you were a gentleman racer and you wanted a more sporty Model T, there was only one thing for it. You had to do it yourself. But it was quite easy. Just get rid of the bodywork, leave 2 seats and the floorboards, and you were away.
Way! Aha, this is more sporting, this is more my cup of tea. Marvellous. Bit drafty though.
You make a car. People like the looks, like the performance, and are glad to see a famous name return.
You'd think that was enough, wouldn't you? But some people always want more.
Rover recognised this and, at the Geneva Motor Show, revealed its concept supercharged MGF. It's promised to do something special to hot up the road-going F, but won't say when.
But if you just can't wait, there's always this. It's called the Cheetah, and it's meant to go faster, stop better, and handle like a race car. It would be rude not to try it.
The Cheetah is built by SP Performance, which has bolted a supercharger to Rover's brilliant 1.8-litre K-Series engine. Horsepower is up 64 brake to 207, and the 0 to 60 time is reduced by 3 seconds to a claimed 5.5. But why a supercharger rather than a chip or turbo? Well, it gives you more power while keeping the engine flexible and maintaining drivability, whereas the exhaust-driven turbo will always have a degree of lag before a rush of power.
But because the supercharger is driven by the crank, the power delivery is smooth from tick over right up to the red line, and it's always accompanied by a really sweet exhaust tone. Bringing you to a halt are 4 competition discs with anti-lock, which improve your stopping power and give a beefier pedal feel. Other additions include new bumpers and side skirts, 17-inch alloys instead of 15, and a race car suspension which still gives a comfortable ride. Aiding aerodynamics is an adjustable splitter which increases downforce and front-end grip of this mid-engined rear-wheel drive sports car. When you do get to push it, you can really have some fun with those extras. The chunkier tyres make the steering more progressive, and you can really feel what's going on over every inch of the tarmac. The handling has improved too, which is no bad thing, making this car better balanced and less keen to understeer. The engine, well, that extra power doesn't really kick in one big lump. It's a lot smoother than that, and can be quite deceptive, really, rushing you into a corner a little quicker than you'd like.
The Cheetah's not cheap, almost £30,000, or you can buy the modifications bit by bit. That would buy a 2.8 BMW Z3, or for £4,000 more, my favourite, the Lotus Elise Sport. It's the car Rover should have built in the first place. The tweaks will appeal to power-hungry F owners, and the full Cheetah to those who must have an octagon on their bonnet.
And it's always you and me, always, and forever.
Next week, Steve Berry in Florida with Beardies and Babes at the Daytona Bike Week. And Jeremy's been stateside too on the trail of a mysterious supercar, the Vector.